What's up, guys? Kiri Dynamite here, and today I'm going to talk about Mulan. I watched it yesterday. I didn't buy it. Someone else bought it on my profile, and I was like, "That's what you want to do?" I watched it yesterday, and the movie is pretty. I'll say that the movie's very pretty. The scenery is cute, the cinematography is cool. The way they do shot some fighting scenes, it was cool. But the storyline was not that great, and I feel like they could have used other aspects of storylines and took that and made that the storyline, if that makes sense. There's gonna be some spoiler stuff, so we start out in the movie. Little Mulan is doing all these tricks. Sorry if I use the wrong term. I'm not sure what kind of fighting style it is. But she's doing all these flips. Her dad is like, "Hi, that's my daughter." And then the neighborhood is like, "Ciao." Anyways, and so he's like, gets embarrassed. We go forward, and Mulan, let me tell y'all something. They added a sister in this movie. So instead of the grandmother, which was like comedy, they put in this sister, and it didn't really do anything with the storyline. She was just there. And at first I was like, "Oh, this is different. She has a sister. Let's see what they're gonna do with it." And they didn't really do much. And the sister was a good actress. I think out of everyone, she was the best actress. The scene with the matchmaker is still there. I feel like the scene in Mulan was way more pop and circumstance, and this matchmaker was just tripping for really no reason because there was a spy. It obviously wasn't Mulan's fault, but I don't know, it just didn't seem necessary for her to be "Dishonor to your whole family, you can't be matched." I was like, seems a little harsh. But anyways, the villain of this story, his name is Bori Khan, and there's a second tier villain who's a witch. And we find out that when Mulan was doing her tricks as a kid, she has chi that she needs to hide because normally only sons get chi.
And of course, they go with the chosen one storyline, which I'm like, she just couldn't be someone fighting for her family like the original. No? Okay.
And her
of
chi
course
is
not.
very powerful, and her dad is like, "You need to hide your chi, girl. I'm trying to protect you. You're doing too much right now." And so we meet this witch. And I'm like, okay, apparently she has powerful chi, and she's called a witch because she's a woman and has chi. Oh, okay. And so she's working for this guy named Bori Khan, who is the leader of the Roran army. Bori Khan's father was the head of the Roran army, but the emperor killed Bori Khan's father. So of course, Bori Khan wants revenge, and he wants to kill the emperor, and he wants to take over the imperial city because you killed my father, how dare you. So he's talking to the witch, whose name is Xian. I think that's how you say it. And I just feel like her character could have been utilized so much more. The best scenes had her in it, so I was wanting to see more of her. She had this very quiet way about her character that she delivered her lines. You knew she wasn't playing games, she was fierce, but we also knew the only reason she was really doing this was because she could be in a society where she was accepted as being a woman and a warrior and having this very powerful chi. She could transform, and she can do all these cool things. The same scene where the army comes to the village, and they're like, one man from every family. And so he puts Mulan in her place later that night when she's like, "Father, you can't." And he's like, "You listen to me." And she's like, "Okay." And so then, let me tell y'all, this scene, the most epic scene in Mulan, the cartoon, since I was a child. I feel like when this scene came on, I was like, I went in. But on this live action, she just literally put on the armor and left. There was no big deal about it. She just next scene, she just rode off on her horse. And I'm like, so y'all are telling me that y'all made this live action, and honestly, like, I wasn't surprised because Lion King, they took out Be Prepared, so of course they would take out her cutting her hair and putting it in the knot, they looking in the sword, the reflection. They took it out and she just rode off. Like, there was nothing in that scene that was like, ooh, this is intense. There are 4 men, and with the relationships with Mulan, the original, you could tell that she was becoming friends with these guys. And this one, you really can't. Like, they're just there, and like they're cracking jokes, and it's really cringy because like they're talking about women, and he's like, I don't care what she looks like. It only matters what she cooks like. Ah ha ha ha. And I'm like, this was in a song, and y'all just said, nah, we're just gonna make him say it. Just no. Just don't make us go through that. Like, don't constantly remind me of what we could have had. The whole time I was watching this movie, I was like, I wish I was just watching the original. Like, I really just wish I was watching the cartoon. And when you are remaking something, you should, if you're gonna make it different, fine, but make it different and good. Instead of the climbing up that wooden pole, take 2 buckets and hold them up, and you had to walk up a summit and make it to the mountain. And it wasn't a big deal. I was like, oh, okay, good for you. And let me tell you something. This was I'll Make a Man Out of You. And they had this man quote again, the Commander Tongue, quote, I'll make a man out of you. Lines. And I was like, please stop. I'll tell you, by this time, the movie is going slow. I don't even think I was halfway through. Like, maybe almost halfway through. And I was like, y'all are taking so long with these storylines. Like, why? For what? Through this whole movie, almost, there is a phoenix following Mulan. It's not doing anything, and I guess it's supposed to take the place of Mushu, but it's just dumb. It's just really dumb. And it's like, this phoenix is literally not doing anything except for just following Mulan around. And I was like, so this is what y'all thought was a good idea? When we could have had Eddie Murphy cracking jokes. Mulan meets Xian, or aka the witch, and the witch is like, who are you? And Mulan is like, I'm Hua Jun, and I am in the Emperor's Imperial Army. And the witch is like, liar. And she's like, I am. And the witch is like, no, you're not. So you tell me who you are. And she's like, no. And the witch is like, fine, you'll die a liar, pretty much. And then she pierces her, but then the thing that she was using to hold her boobs down helped protect her. And so, yeah, so I don't know. That scene was interesting because of the witch only. I really liked her scenes. I don't know. I really enjoyed seeing her talk. She was just very ethereal. And I appreciate villains who talk like this. And they're like, I will destroy you. They don't have to make it a big scene, you know? Then once Mulan wakes up because she got knocked out against a rock after, she's like, I'm gonna fight as myself. And then she takes her hair off. She's on a horse. She takes her hair out of her pony, or out of her bun, and then she takes off her father's armor. And I'm like, well, that's nice. How do you know your dad didn't want his armor back? Pretty inconsiderate. And then I'm like, also, why wouldn't you keep your hair in the bun? Your hair gets in the way. She's fighting and she's like, mind you, her hair is like really super long. And I'm like, oh, and also kudos to her lace front, not Mulan, the witch. She had a good lace front. I said, okay, I see you. She's on the horse. And by this time, I'm like, this movie is still going. Long story short, you know, Mulan saves everybody. Oh, and like throughout the movie, there was this guy named who takes the place of Shang, and his name is Huan Hui. I'm sorry again if I'm messing that name up. And there's like a connection between them, kind of, but you can't really tell. Like, he's trying to be her friend, and she's like, I don't want to be your friend. And he's like, well, we have to protect each other because we fighting in this war. And she's like, oh, whatever. So fast forward, they're fighting, and the emperor, she comes clean to the commander, and she's like, I'm a woman. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I was, you know, yeah, this is me. And he's like, dishonor on your family. Next time you come around here, I'm gonna execute you. So she came back again because she found out what was happening with the roaring army, and the witch was like, join me. We're outcasts, we're women, but they don't look at us as warriors. They only look at us as women, and we need to fight together. And like Mulan's like, no. And then she goes, and then she's like, there's an army coming. And then the commander is like, oh my gosh, I told you not to come back here. Someone give me a sword. And then Huang Hui, the guy who's supposed to be Shang, is like, hey, listen to her. You should listen to her.
So the writers really thought it was a good idea for the dude to be like, I believe Mulan. And then the next dude, I believe Mulan. The next dude, I believe Mulan. I believe Mulan. Are they serious? That is so cliche. That is so overdone. And you guys really said, we're gonna do it. Like, are you, they really, like, I don't belong here. I don't belong here watching this in the comfort of my own home. You guys really just made me hate it. You guys really sat there and made me hate Mulan.
The roaring army, and there's like this whole, and they had the avalanche thing happen, which was also very So anyway, ciao. So the witch is talking to Mulan, and she's like, Mulan is like, where is he? Talking about Bori Khan. And so the witch, so Mulan is like, you're right, we are alike, but you can be on the right side. It's not too late for you, because the witch before was like, it's too late for me, child. I've done too many things, and no one is definitely not. They wasn't accepting me now, and they're not gonna accept me. They wasn't accepting me then, and they're not gonna accept me now. So it is what it is, essentially. But she ends up leading Mulan to Bori Khan, and when she gets to Bori Khan, she's like, there is a woman. And he's like, what? And he's like, a woman leads the army, a warrior. And he's like, a girl? And she's like, a woman, a warrior, and she is no scorn dog. Because in the beginning, Bori Khan called her a scorn dog, because he was like, when I found you, you was on the street struggling, and you ain't gonna do nothing to me because you need me to fit in. But this time she was like, hey, you done met your match. And then he was like, you led her here. And then he tries to kill Mulan with the arrow, and then she goes and sacrifices herself and shields Mulan as the bird, because she can transform things. And she's like, take your place, Mulan. And she dies. Of course she dies. Like, who did not watch this movie and saw that coming? Like, it would have been a much better movie if they had integrated Shan in so much, in like a bigger way. Like, ends up saving the emperor, and the emperor is like, be an officer for my imperial city army, blah blah blah. And then Mulan is like, oh, I want to go back to my family. And as she's leaving, she meets up with the guy who's supposed to be Li Shang, and he's like, gives his hand, and he's like, you're leaving? And she's like, yes. And he's like, you still won't take my hand? And like, they do this thing where they touch for like a second, and I was like, Anyway, so she goes home and the dad is like, ah, and the sister's like, ah, and the mom was like, ah. And the sister showed some really great acting when Mulan came home, and she was like crying, and you could see her face. And like Mulan, the actual actress is just like, ah, I'm home. And I was like, so the Commander Tong shows up and he's like, here's a sword that we made for you. True, bravery, something else, and devotion to family, because he had said something like that to her.
So during the battle with Bori Khan, Mulan lost her father's sword, and let me tell you something, I was upset. I got flashbacks to when Sokka lost his space sword and never got it back. Flashbacks. Hate it. Hate it.
And then he's like, please reconsider joining. The Emperor really wants you to join. And then the movie ends like this. And I'm like, I know y'all are not trying to do a sequel. Don't. We don't need it. We don't need a sequel to this movie. We don't. We really don't. Please don't give it to us and try to pass it up premiere access. No, we don't need to see it. And if you do it, actually try to make it good. Make it something worthwhile watching. How is that so hard? Like, I don't understand. So, in the end, they could have done some better things with this movie. They should have incorporated the witch a lot more. This movie was not that great. I was bored. And I mean, they tried to add like a lot of colors to the wardrobe, which was cute. And the scenery was nice. And the way they shot things. But some of the stuff they were doing, like the slow-mo, was kind of weird. Like, it was shot weird. I don't know. It kind of looked odd. This movie was not great. I'm glad I didn't see it in the movies, because I would have been like, this is what y'all doing. This is. But at the same time, it would have been like $6 on a matinee day. But I mean, if you want to spend 30, really? I just don't understand. Like, y'all really was like, let's just make this movie, let's keep out the music. And then throughout the movie, they had the music scores playing, but it was like not effective at all. It felt like it didn't fit. And I was like, y'all should have just made a whole new score, boo-boo. Y'all should have just made a whole new score. So in conclusion of this movie, they should have incorporated Shan a lot more, the woman who played the witch. They should have got rid of Bori Khan. He was boring as all get out. Just typical villain. And I would have actually liked to see a little bit more romance, because the way they did it at the end was like, y'all didn't show us the relationship that they were like making, and the friends. Y'all didn't like incorporate how like close they were getting. So they should have done a lot more in this movie with the relationships and the villain, and just a lot more. The music scores, that stuff really didn't fit, and it was just like they were trying way too hard. But let me tell y'all about the best thing in the movie. Ming-Na Wen showed up at the end, child. I was like, ah! I really sat here, was like, oh my God, it's her! Let me tell y'all, I love me some Ming-Na Wen, okay? I love me some Ming-Na Wen. So when she showed up in her green dress, I was like, ah! Because she looked like she had that like Mulan's green. It wasn't the exact same dress, but it was like the green dress that Mulan wore with like the blue thing in the middle. But I was geeking out. I was geeking out. That's the end of this review. Okay, thank you guys for watching. If you saw Mulan, comment down below if you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you plan on watching it. I wouldn't recommend discussion going down in the comments. And that's all for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.